Thank you for staying with the Monday Report live from the Lake Nakuru Lodge, right in Nakuru County or city, should I say. So we're talking about HIV and AIDS and how we can change this conversation and make it a crisis that it really is. More than 1.5 million people living with HIV and AIDS, and infections increasing by the day among young people. And Dr. You're giving us the people who should be pulling their weight. You started with the health sector. You're to go through the next 6 really briefly.
Yeah. Thank you, Trevor, and I'll be brief.
Yeah.
Yes, I said the next one is the LYP constituency. And I was just sharing, colleagues, there are 2 dimensions here. One, I call on all the rest who are older and who are in position of policy making to realize that the challenges and circumstances of the young people of today are unique to their generation. And we'll have to listen to them and meaningfully involve them to design interventions that work for them.
Yeah.
That's one and key. And by that I mean, we need to start seeing LYP-led organizations in this space. But on the other side, young people, as we have this conversation, remember to see far, you're better standing on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah.
Please be open for mentorship. Because some of these challenges, our colleagues have gone ahead of us. You don't need to repeat their mistakes. Number 2 is the family and parents. It's a generation where we need to be a bit more deliberate, upcoming parents, to spend time with your young people. So don't leave a void that may be met by other people and other peers when we should have met it. Number 3 is the faith sector. And you rightly mentioned it. We need to get back to accept that there is God for those who believe. Whatever your faith, find time with your spiritual leaders. And the spiritual leaders find time with the young people. Number 4 is the education sector. Our young people spend probably 80% of their time in schools. We'll be making a mistake if we close out education around sexual health from our schools.
Yeah.
We recognize that we have policy issues which we need to deal with, but we have to open our schools to the discussion. Otherwise, we'll be closing our young people in fire and not addressing the fire they are in.
Yeah.
Now, next is law enforcement and judiciary, and by this we mean the openness with which we are seeing teenage pregnancy as a symptom of exposure of young people to sex, with a mix, some with peers, majority with elders. We would love to see men who defile our children in court. And so we request that we see the law enforcement and judiciary extend a good job.
Yeah.
Let the 300,000 pregnant schoolgirls translate to 300,000 cases.
Yeah.
And on this boy child, be warned, the law is not on your side. Whether you're minor or senior, if you found having impregnated a schoolgirl, our current law will have you behind bar. So please, the law enforcement, help us for now to have every man responsible for a teenage pregnancy and a young girl being exposed to sex behind the bars.
Yeah.
Let's make it so difficult to the extent that men will leave our girls alone.
Okay.
Let's pause there for now, but ending again back to the health sector, I'll re-emphasize that we are doing, treatment is one of our prevention strategies. So that we give you a healthy life with suppressed viral load, and you can't infect your partner. So for all LYP, the last package from the health sector is, please know your status early.
Okay.
In the event you're infected, adhere to your treatment for your own quality life and for the sake of your partner. If you're negative, please take the prevention packages. You're good staying, negative.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Wilson, how do we change that narrative? Do we still continue and insist on the ABCs? Does it still work? What do we do now?
Thank you very much, Trevor, for that question. I think we need to look at this situation as a time bomb.
Yeah.
And our starting point will be still with the caregivers. The reason why I'm saying that is because when you look at a majority of the gaps or barriers that leads to poor treatment outcomes, most of them are associated with the probably poor caregiver response towards the adolescent. So for me, I'll just urge the policymakers to really build up on improving the literacy levels, especially for the caregivers, through the use of peers. I know that we have peer parents who can be empowered to empower the parents of children who are living with HIV, so that they can start bonding at an early age.
Yeah.
Through this, we'll be able to sort out issues to do with late disclosure on our adolescents who are living with HIV,
yeah.
and also come up with ways to transition them on a timely, in a timely manner,
yeah.
from adolescence into adulthood. Other than that, we also have the aspect of we are now looking at also the teenage girl who is pregnant.
Yeah.
And probably it's the first time that she just got diagnosed as pregnant, and also got diagnosed as HIV positive.
Yeah.
So you see, this is a double tragedy. So through this, we'll now have to bring on board other innovations, which Dr. had mentioned.
Yeah.
And now we are even now advocating for novel innovations that super boost the Operation 000. We now call it OTZ Plus,
yeah.
which basically means that we want now to empower the girl child to be in a position to self-manage her care, yeah. And come out with a child who will eventually graduate into being negative,
yeah.
by the time this child reaches 18 months.
Okay.
So I think these are some of the innovations that, because of time, I would have mentioned many, but we really need to really stick to them.
Okay.
And probably the team in here, I'm very confident that,
yeah.
with our president, yeah. on board, he'll be able to,
achieve
champion this.
Okay,
yeah.
let me come back to my audience on this question, and we're looking for solutions here. Going forward, how do we fix this narrative and change it, ensure that people understand how serious this situation is? Start with your name, sir.
I'm Sifrin Wasike. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I think, like you just asked the previous question, let's just go back to the basics.
Yeah.
ABC. We, as a society, I think we fail in this generation, and it's not the best thing to do. I remember growing up, parents, guardians, teachers, they always sang the issue, the ABC song, abstinence,
yeah.
abstinence, abstinence. We never dated that time,
yeah.
until I think in university or something like that. But then, of course, we grew knowing up that HIV is such a serious thing.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, this cohort, not that they don't have information, they do have information. But they look at what COVID did during the lockdowns and the restricted movements.
Yeah.
We recorded abnormal numbers of teen pregnancies. You know why? It's because kids were out of school.
Yeah.
And parents were so tired sitting with their kids and children at home. They wanted the kids go back to school because they don't have time for them, absolutely.
Yeah.
They don't have time to discuss some of these issues. Not that we don't be talking about these issues. We talked about these issues so many times.
Yeah.
But then as a society, we need to mirror ourselves. Why are we absconding our duties and leaving it to the education sector, for instance? He mentioned a couple of sectors that have been doing a lot of stuff. When you look at the health sector,
yeah.
Myself working at the National Control Council, we've done a lot with health care providers, ensuring there's no stigma at the health facility, ensuring that treatment is adhered to, people access treatment and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Education sector, like I just mentioned, that the ones actually ensuring that kids can be safe and avoid teen pregnancy and some of these STIs, including HIV.
Yeah.
But as a society, we just there. Like she mentioned something about Vasha.
Yeah.
I also watched Safari Rally, I think the last edition or something. But we never had craziness that we saw over the weekend.
Yeah.
You know, we condone such things. We say, okay, fine, we're in a liberal world and stuff like that. But then again, we're not living the same time that
yeah.
we used to. So I think it's time we reflected on some of these things as a society, look at it critically, and then spend some time with their kids, because
yeah.
many times parents actually don't really have time with their kids, and that is one issue that has always been making some of these things increase daily.
All right. Let me come to you and just start with your name there. How do we reverse this moral decay? Because like what he's saying, I also remember the Safari Rally more than 19 years ago. For us, it was just SAFO. It wasn't what we saw in Vasha. It had nothing to do with that. We'd simply line up, see the vehicles pass by in front of you really fast, go back home. No extracurricular activities on that. Have we failed the society today, the young population, in terms of mentorship and even ensuring that their moral decadence still is intact?
Thank you, Trevor. My name is Rachel Kuna, working at the Department of Health Services, Nakuru County. I coordinate HIV services. Thank you. I agree with my former speakers.
Yeah.
Yes, we have failed, and yes and no. I can say yes and no.
Okay.
Why? Because we have been giving this information to our young people about HIV right from school. Even a nursery school kid knows about HIV. But as they grow up, somehow there is that element of peer influence. Peer influence, and this one goes back to their minds, and like they don't put it seriously. As they grow up, even to the university level, they put money ahead, and maybe this element of sponsorship and the like, and they forget that they are at risk. They are putting themselves to a risky behavior. So what I'm trying to say is it's a responsibility right from the house, from the parents, to the community, to the school, to the society at large, and even to the health facilities. So these young people, as they engage themselves to these risky behaviors, they need to be reminded now and again. We need not to get tired about talking about prevention, and HIV is there. These are the risks and the like. Today I was in a meeting whereby I had some few young people who have engaged themselves into sex work. And I reiterated that there is no enough information as they come in. Some are very young, as 10 years, 12 years, 14 years. They are engaging themselves into sex work. But they are coming in that trade with very little knowledge on HIV prevention. So we need to put a lot of resources in terms of sensitization, educating them across board. The other thing I would like to say is just like COVID, we are telling people to put on their masks, to wash their hands, to keep social distance, yet there are those who are ignoring that information completely. But we have to keep on telling them, and even putting the law enforcement so that they can adhere to this. Same case with the HIV/AIDS to the young people. Let's give them data. For those of us who are health workers, let's tell them, like what we are telling them today, that they are dying, that there is this infection, getting infected like 40 in a day, so that it can stick into their minds. It is majorly behavior. As much as those elements of the behavioral, I mean the biomedical, and even structure, whereby we even mitigate the sexual violence. Let's come out openly. Those who have been abused, those who have been maybe raped or something like that. Let them come out openly so that these things can be taken care of as by the law, so without keeping quiet.
I see the microphone back there. What do you think are the solutions?
Thank you very much, Trevor. My name is Dickson Mwaniki. Allow me to talk in Kiswahili because I'm a community person, and I work in the community. Vile ningependa tufanye saizi, inastahili tubadilishe vile huwa tunafanya mambo ama vile huwa tunafanya shughuli zetu za HIV. Kwanza kabisa tunastahili turudi mtaani, kwa sababu pale wale watu ndio wanastahili kupatiwa information. Wakati tunakutana kwa hoteli sana na kuongea hii mambo, hatuwafikii wale. Tuache kukaa kwa mahoteli, tuache kuongelea kwa mahoteli, twende mashinani. Twende kwa ule mama mboga, tumuelezee kuhusu HIV. Twende base penye vijana wanashikisha kajaba, penye wanachapa kanusu. Hizo base turudi mashinani. Tufanye vingine, tuache tu kufanya vile tumekuwa tukifanya. Kwa sababu hivi vile tunaendelea kufanya tunazidi kupoteza hawa vijana. Kesho hatutakuwa na viongozi. Sasa hizi ukiangalia data ya Nakuru si nzuri. Vijana kuanzia miaka 15 mpaka 25 wanapata maambukizi sana. Na ni kwa nini? Kwa sababu hawapatiwi ile information ambayo ni correct. Tunastahili kuempower wale vijana ambao wamejitokeza waweze kusaidia vijana wenzao. Ili pale mashinani tuache kuwapoteza hawa vijana. Kwa sababu unajua wanasema kubeba mimba ni ngumu kwao, lakini heri wameze dawa kuliko wabebe mimba. Hivyo ndio huwa wanasema. Lakini kumeza dawa si rahisi. Wakati wanakuja kuanza kumeza dawa, wanarudi kupata kumeza dawa ni ngumu sana. That's why tunawapoteza. Thank you.
Lakini wewe mwenyewe ni community worker umesema, kwa hivyo tayari unaongea nao huko kwa vijiji, sio? Wanakusikiza lakini?
Wananisikiza, lakini sipati nafasi ile nzuri ya kuweza kuwaambia. Kwa sababu pengine nataka kwenda kwa mtaa kwenda kuwaongelesha. Ni nani ananisupport kwenda kuwaongelesha?
Ni nini haswa shida? Ni resources ama ni watu ndio wachache? Mnafaa kuwa wengi kushinda vile mko saizi?
Mimi mwenyewe pia nastahili kukuwa facilitated ili niweze kufika pale natakana kwenda. Kufanya nini? Kupatiana information. Kumbuka mimi nafanya kazi ya community na hakuna mtu ambaye anaweka hata shilingi kwa mfuko wangu ya kuweza kwenda kufikia wale. So inabidi nijitolee. Kama sina, inabidi nikae nyumbani.
So lazima kuwe na outreach.
Exactly. Hizo outreach siku hizi hakuna. Awareness hakuna.
Sawa. Thank you. I see the microphones there. Start with your names and tell us the solution. What do you think are the solutions going forward?
Thank you, Trevor, for the chance to be here. My name is Samuel. I'm a fourth-year student at Kabarak University. And I have a few suggestions on the topic.
Go ahead.
Well, as I've heard one of my colleagues say here that...
Slightly louder, please.
Sorry. I've heard one of my friends say that the information is there. And it's easily accessible. And I can attest to that. Being in campus, we can access the information readily. And very easily. But you find that there are schools and institutions that are run by by churches, sorry. So these institutions, they shy away from talking about the topic in their classrooms or in their lecture halls. Now, if these schools don't talk about the issues to the students, they become ignorant, and also they don't take it into consideration that this is a very serious matter. Now, if the schools can maybe incorporate the community health workers, because I think they have a more detailed training about the matter. They can come to school and talk to the students about the disease so that they can be able to be well informed about it. The second suggestion will be to have the dispensing units or other stations in schools. Where the comrades can be able to access the contraceptives per se, because you find that most people who are sexually active, whether we like to accept it or not, are in campus. Now, if we can have a regular supply of contraceptives or stations where comrades can easily access these contraceptives, I think we can be able to see a steady decline in the rates that we have right now. And also, my last suggestion will be, as much as there are measures that have been put in place, we also have to come out as young people and be cautious of our behaviors and our interactions, and accept that at the end of the day it trickles down to us as individuals and young people to take action so that we'll be able to reduce the curve and the trend that is going on right now.
Now that you're speaking on behalf of the comrades there, what happens there that there's so much issue of sponsors and blessers? What is it that we don't understand that the comrades are going through? Because that's where the epicenter of sponsors are.
Well, the first reason obviously is peer pressure. Where you find that a comrade wants to live a life that maybe he's seeing on social media, and maybe their friends are living as well and they can't afford it, or rather the parents can't give it to them. Now that's why I'm saying it comes down to you as an individual, to know yourself, and also for the people around you. That includes your parents, and as well as the lecturers and the teachers, to mentor you in a way that you can be able to set your own morals. Yes.
All right, I see the microphone back there, so go ahead, start with your name, sir.
Yeah, my name is Joseph Simiyu. And one of the interventions I wanted to suggest forward is I know the young people we are leading in this in terms of infections, and one of the other things I wanted to inform our young people is, first of all, we need always to be testing, because it's something that is also showing trends that are very poor in terms of us accessing testing points to know our status. And when we know our status and results turns out to be something that is different, we will always want to run away from the results. So the other thing is we need to accept the results. So the other thing I also wanted to tell our people is, we have healthcare workers here in this sitting here. Please don't tire. Continue doing the good work you've been doing. The results are being seen. I know you'll want to expect more. But whatever you have been doing is actually being seen. We have been having parents also doing some good work at home, back at home. Not all parents do not share information with their young ones, or they don't advise their families. They have also been doing some good work. Please keep it up. We have also young people who have been on the forefront trying to fight the disease and making sure that they know their status and sensitizing their friends. I think they also need to go ahead and still do the same, because it's our game. If we don't lead it, then obviously it will come back to you. So your neighbor has to be safe for you to be safe. Thank you.
All right, let's wind up on this conversation, and I'll start with you there, Pudo. Where do we go now henceforth from here?
Okay, I think looking at the way forward, we need now to look at the multisectoral approaches that Dr. Mike had mentioned. And specifically, I'm looking at the Ministry of Education, which really need to synchronize very well, especially with students who are on care and treatment. I'm looking at our data, and the majority of patients who normally present to us with high viral load, they'll have a history of missed, pills, because, the dormitory was closed and I couldn't go and take my, my pill. So niliacha ikaenda hivyo. That's one day. Then with time, the viral load will always progress. So we really need to synergize these two ministries together. Number two, I'm looking at the stakeholders at the community level. That's the local administration, the chiefs, the religious leaders, as well as the community health workers and the parents themselves. They have a say, and it is now or never, because in the next coming 20 years, we'll have a completely different generation. We need to now start empowering these four groups of people whom I've just mentioned. Last but not least is to look at the quality of care, especially for the adolescent who probably has a high viral load. We really need now to come in handy with accelerated innovations, novel innovations, to ensure that we sort them out, especially trying to relate both the caregiver issues vis-a-vis our AYP, the AYP issues, and synergize them and come up with the solutions. Currently, I know that we are trying to implement a new innovation called the Jua Mtoto Wako innovation, which tries to look at adolescents who have a high viral load, and now we are now trying to follow them up longitudinally, trying to also assess the literacy levels and the HIV status of the caregivers, and trying to relate it also with the treatment outcomes of the adolescent. And I think it's something that we've really embraced, and it's being really implemented in the right way.
Okay,
thank you.
For me, it's I have a three-pronged approach, I think I would call it. But one is just add on to what he said about the multisectoral approach, and making sure that we have a multisectoral approach that puts a young person at the center of the response. Because, like as everyone has said, there's so many spheres of influence around the young person. It's their parents, it's their peers, it's their education system, it's the policies that we're developing, and are they responsive to the young person? Secondly, for me, is that we need to remember, we need to know young people for who they are. Young people are people, this generation specifically, people who want to be engaged, they want to be involved, they want transparency, they want honesty, they want to know where all these resources we say that are available, where are they going? And these are people who want to actively be engaged in the entire process. They've been talking for a long time that they want to know what programs we are designing, how we are designing these programs, how we are monitoring these programs, and are they successful, are they not? And so we need to leverage on this strength that these young people are. You know, they're not people who are just sitting around waiting for things to happen. They actually care and want to be involved, and we have to make sure that we involve them in that way. And the last one is around integration of policies, integration of services, integration of everything. Because at the end of the day, we are talking about the same young person. It's the same young person. The same young person going to school, the same young person wants to be treated for an STI, HIV, pregnancy, whatever the case. Mental health issues are becoming a problem right now. And so ultimately, we're still speaking to the young person. Make sure that they walk through the same door to get all these services, not 5 different doors or 10 different doors. And are our policies speaking to that integration? Are they saying that if they're 12, they can get tested, but then if they're 12, they can get a contraceptive? You know, issues like that. So we need to make sure that we are integrative for this young person, because ultimately it's really about the young person, and they should be at the center of this response, and they have the passion and they have the power and the knowledge to contribute significantly to the HIV response.
All right.
Thanks.
Doc, I'll come to you lastly, because I thought I saw a question about a vaccine. Karioke Wagishane says the age bracket indicated is sexually overactive, and they have no guidelines on preventive measures, unlike back in the day during our times. Kirimi Laibu says, most importantly, let's resuscitate the dying cultural values which used to help toddlers and teenagers to abstain from coitus, he calls it. Neocolonialism has seen teenagers erotic through dressing code, among other behaviors as well. Dennis says, youth should think of their safety before pleasure. Then you have Odero Owino Danish, who says, this is so sad. Something should be done to promote faithfulness, honesty, boost morality, and the spirit of contentment to our young generation. And Andre says, those statistics are meant to keep donor funding flowing, because VCT centers would have already been moved to all high schools, universities, and colleges. So we'll talk about those statistics as well. There are those who are skeptical about it, and that same behavior may be the reason why the spread is still higher, because they don't believe what they see in terms of the numbers. But Silico says strategy is to abstain, and if they can't, let them roast themselves knowingly. Every action has a reaction. And Ted says it's time to preach the ABC strategy. Abstain, be faithful, and use condoms. It is time to decampaign the growing trend of cross-generational sex. Many young lives are getting strayed away with the promise of financial gain. Mr. Tinker, he calls himself. And Shadi Ole Moses and Jefferson says here, HIV and AIDS is a national concern, especially among the youth and adolescents. It's high time we start a conversation on how to mitigate the spread as a nation without relying so much on donor funding. And then there's a question. Hawkins says we should be fighting for a vaccine. And that's where I'd like you to come in. Is that even a possibility right now? Is it being looked into as you give your closing remarks?
Thank you, Trevor. Maybe a comment on the vaccine, then the numbers as we close up. For the vaccine, yes, brilliant thoughts. We know we have global and national strategies. We have the International AIDS Vaccine Initiative, the Kenya AIDS Vaccine Initiative, which have been working for these several decades towards an HIV vaccine. I know we had the phenomenal COVID-19 vaccine last year. HIV virus is unique because of how enveloped the HIV genome is against being targeted by antibodies. There's still a lot of work going on towards HIV vaccine development. We have experts in that area, but no breakthrough yet. In the same regard, no breakthrough yet for a cure. So we're working with antiretroviral drugs, which suppress the viral load for as long as we're under treatment. So that turns us back to the problem about the numbers. These numbers are real to start with.
Yeah.
I mentioned I manage the HIV program in one of our counties, Kakamega. I have here Rachel for Nakuru.
Yeah.
We have people who manage this program to grassroots level everywhere. The 1.2 million people we talk about on ART are human beings. They are our clients. We see them in clinic day by day, for 30 days a month, for 60 days. Most of them will come for every 3 months when they are stable. So this is real, and this is the problem we are in. I think as we end, part of my submissions, Trevor, is one, we need to agree as a country that we have a problem.
Yeah.
We have a problem of a growing burden of people with a chronic disease who need care. You all know what's been happening in our country the last 2-3 months. We've come to terms with this. We have a problem. We've tried with our PMTCT, Prevention of Mother-Child Transmission. Last year, we only got 600 infected infants. But in the same year, we get 14,000, 15 to 24 getting infected. So what are we doing? Our mothers do a good job. We reach age 14, only 600 infected in a year. Our AYP 15 to 24, 14,000. So what does this translate? The country is continually getting a burden to take care of every year. So we have urgently to get back to the prevention table.
Yeah.
We have a problem, we have to realize that. We have a problem of 300,000 schoolgirls pregnant every year. While at the same time, we didn't mention that 300,000 of our schoolgirls are among the 1.8 million who accessed family planning last year. So all this is masked likely HIV infections. In fact, the numbers we're telling you might be a big underestimate when we get to the real picture down the line. So what's the problem? The other part, maybe for the sake of time, we are losing our young people. Leading my colleagues across the counties, we picked a cohort of mentors, champions, AYP, HIV positive. One of us was taking, for confidentiality reasons, close care of them. These are champions. 3 years down the line, we've lost 10 out of 12, despite all the standard care. Yeah. Why? Because still among AYP, we have a challenge with adherence to treatment. So Kenya, it's about time we have to realize we're in trouble, and we have to do something if we have to have a people to hand the mantle to tomorrow.
Yeah.
And when we come to terms with that problem, I'll propose in 2 threes. One, we each need to have an individual responsibility. Yeah. Individual in terms of me and you, and in terms of individual sectors.
Yeah.
I think my colleagues, and we've discussed this before, and we have to re-emphasize that we have to see leading work by AYP themselves, young people. We have to see a lot of work from schools. You have to open the doors of our schools for discussion around sexual health and HIV prevention. We have to go back to the church and the faith sector and respect the counsel of God on this matter. We have to get our judiciary and our police to force to stop the gender imbalance on sex.
Yeah.
Arrest all men who are responsible. Let men keep away from our girls.
Okay.
We have to get to the health sector.
Yeah.
Take up the available intervention. It's good we mentioned this in a summary.
Yeah.
That we have abstinence. We celebrate the many youth who are abstaining. Keep doing it.
Yeah.
Those who are not able, be faithful to one partner. Use the condom. Take the innovations we have for any of you. We have PEP. We have pre-exposure prophylaxis.
Yeah.
We have the ring coming. In a second prong, we have to take up to a concerted, coordinated effort, multi-sectoral. And what do I recommend for Kenya? Let us see dialogue, the responsible government agencies, Health for Now and the youth sector. Let us bring together all stakeholders to multi-sectoral working groups at national level, county level, sub-county, and community level. Let us begin seeing people come together to make the business of the health of our young people and HIV prevention a priority every year. And finally, let us open doors for mentorship. I think every man and woman who is out there, please don't retire before you mentor somebody every day. And young people, please be open to be mentored.
Okay.
Let us apply the finally this principle that the challenges of LYP today are not the ones we had 10 years ago. So let's understand them to help them. But LYP, please understand that these challenges are not only unique to us. People have gone ahead of us and have succeeded. Let us open our hearts to be mentored.
All right, that's where we leave it for now. Thank you so much, Dr. Mike Ekisa, County HIV, AIDS and STI Control Program Coordinator, Rebecca Nyankea, Program Officer of Adolescents and Young Persons at the National AIDS Control Council, and Wilson Opudo, HIV Prevention, Care and Treatment Specialist. And most important, thank you all for the contributions. This is not a conversation that we can start and end tonight. It is something that has to be continuous. I want to thank you all for watching the Monday Report live from Nakuru, and special thanks to Lake Nakuru Lodge for hosting us tonight in the Nakuru city. Like I mentioned, I'll give you a virtual tour at the end of this also, that you see what the things we saw during the day. My name is Trevor Mbija, and on behalf of the entire team that made this possible, thank you so much for watching. Good night. See you in Nairobi. Bye for now.